Hi there and welcome to my fifth tutorial on HTML web structure, and in this tutorial I'm going to talk about forms. Now, form is something that holds components. By components I mean something like a text box or a button or a select box or combo box, checkbox, select button, whichever you imagine probably form will hold. Now, the form is placed inside the body, and it's basically you use it to create components like as a text box and stuff like this. And how I was taught to create only one form tag, opening and closing tag, but you get the point. One tag per one document, that's it. You don't need more. You can put everything between those two, and that's it, and it will work perfectly fine. If you create, actually check that, if you create two forms, you will still output both things, but it may create some errors later on when, for example, you do some more advanced stuff, when you use CSS or HTML or JavaScript. When you use those things, you might get some errors, and this is not what you want. So it's better to use one and be sure you won't get errors. So how do you start? You start with the form. You open and close it. It's the best way because you always have opened and closed. You don't have to worry about closing it. Right? So this is the form now. Inside the form you can do a couple of things. You can do input type, which is a normal component. When you do, for example, a button like submit, you say input type submit equals submit, and that's it. You have a button which is submit type. You can do with the input type. You can do a text box, a combo box, and so on. But there are some exceptions. For example, some of the components don't use input type but their own tags. I will show you that in a minute, and let's first of all tackle the input type. Input type is one tag, and you specify what type of component you want on your page. Now, whichever you choose, as I said, there's loads of them. I don't remember all of them actually. If you want a whole list, actually, there's a document, there's a tutorial on the HTML forms I've created on my page. Just visit my page and download one of those tutorials. You will get the whole list of those controls on those components. Nevertheless, I'm going to show you the simple most common, not the simple, common components like text box, for example. That's one of the common components, and that's how you close it. That's it. That's input type. It's done. When I save this and I refresh my page, you will see a text box which I can write inside. I can write as long as I want. So this is a text box. Nothing serious. You can do pretty much nothing with it. So that's one component. Now, there are some extensions to each component. Not all of the components can use some extensions, but for example, name and value can be used for most of the components, if not all. So for example, if you want to name your component, you want to name your text box, you just say name equals to, let's say, input. It's an input. Its name is input, and when you submit, for example, which I show you in a minute, when you hit submit, this will be represented in your URL box where you have your web browser. You will see the page link, but also the name of your component equals to something or equals to nothing, and basically next component if you have one. So this will be the name of the component. Now the value, it's rarely used, and I think it's not even used with the text boxes because you should write your own text. Besides, there's HTML5, which I'm going to show you later on, and I will show you some useful tags and some useful additions. And nevertheless, you can use value. It's valid, and value is basically the input. So you can say, for example, like this. When I save this, you will see that this value is inside now. This name is the name of the text box is now input. The value is this. Okay, so that's how you work with it. Now, to create another component, you of course write again a different component, for example, and not all of them use it, as I said, but I will tell you that later on with the exceptions. Okay, so input type again equals to, let's say now, submit button. Submit. I don't know if you, yeah, submit button can also have a name and value. Value is for submit button, for all buttons, value is basically what you always add, because it's a name, like it's what you see on the button on your page. So if I write nothing, I save this, it will work, it will do the button. You will see submit query. You don't want that. You basically want to name your own buttons, isn't it? So you say value equals to, in some kind of value, some kind of name you want to give it. For example, something like this, doesn't matter. So proceed, for example. You can also give it a name. So, and now when I save this, the name will change basically. Now, sorry about that. Now, if I, as you can see, I have this code. Now, if I run from Java, don't worry. Nevertheless, if I press the button, you will get a link of your page, but also some kind of information which will be here. So if I click proceed, you will see input equals dark. Input is the name of this component, and its value is dark, and button, which is the name of this component, equals proceed. So that's how it works. When I click this, it will go there on the bar here, on the URL bar. And there is another way you can send this information through the page, and this is CGI, I believe, and I don't teach that. You have to find that on your own, actually, because I am not teaching CGI. If you're interested in it, just Google it. You will probably find it very fast. Nevertheless, so those are the basic components. You also have a button to clear or reset the page, like this. You reset the page again. Value equals, say, doesn't matter, clear. Okay, so this button will basically clear whatever is in boxes and stuff like this. So if I say bleh, I say clear, now this one will not clear because its value, it will be always there. As you can see, I can click times 20 and it will not clear the dark. That's why you don't input values inside the boxes, because it's useless. So this one is basically a useless one. You don't have to use it. You may use it, but you don't. It's better if you not. Okay. So those are the basics one. I think everyone knows them, like a submit button, like a reset button, text box. Now there's also checkbox and stuff like this. As I said, if you want the whole list, you just can go through my document, which I have on my page. Now, as I said, there are some exceptions. One of those exceptions is select. It's also a component, but you declare it or you use it. The tag. Oh yeah, the tag is different. It's not input type, but it's select. It's select type. Like so. You select, then you basically end selection, like so. And between this one, you also don't say, for example, input type or something. You say option, also as a tag. Then you specify some kind of component. You just write some kind of name, like so. You don't have to do some kind of tricky stuff. And you close it with option. That's it. So that's one option. I will just copy this one and change it. Let's see. Select can have a name as well, I think. Let's say direction. Let me save this, and you will have a drop-down menu. Clear button works. As you can see, it will go straight to the first. If I clear, it goes straight to this one, the first position. Checkboxes as well. They use this type. You just simply write, instead of submit or text box, you write checkbox. That's it. So that's one exception. That's how you create a drop-down menu. And another exception is sorry. Another exception is a text area. Now, text area is something like a text box, but you can specify how big it is. I mean the size of the control of the component. So you write text area. It has its own tag, and you specify columns. Calls, for example, equals that's columns. Let's say they equal 10, and rows equals, let's say, 2. Actually, that's how you close it. Yeah. So text area, I think you can close it like this one. Yeah. No, you have to. Yeah, because this is not. I have to close it like this. I have to close it like this. Otherwise, it won't work properly. Now it works properly now. So I can write, and you will see that it will not go further than this point here. So you will go down only. I can scroll, I can make it bigger, I can make it 20 or even more. It's up to you how big you make it. But as I said, it can be used, for example, for comments or notes from the user, for example, on your page. Now, if you want to, you can. I want to teach you one method to send the information, and that will be your email. And to use that, you will basically say form action equals mail to. I think you know the thing I showed you with the links, probably. If I didn't, then I will show you now, actually. So action equals mail to. I think that's how it was, and then your email. So basically, pretty straightforward, isn't it? Then your email, you finish it, and you will mail to. Of course, after you click, well, actually, let me show you this mail to some kind of email. I don't want to put my own. Okay, so this is mail to. You can also set method to get. I think it was get. Yeah, that should be correct. Method get. And when you press proceed or submit button, this should mail it to, or at least try to mail it to. It will try. Yeah, this form is being used using email. Submit this form with your email, something like that. Nevertheless, that's how you submit the form by email. You just write mail to, and that's it. So that's the action you can do with the form. Also, this one is the one I wanted to show you, because other one is with the CGI, and I'm not going to teach you that. Okay, so those are the normal forms, normal components, but there is also HTML5, which is the new HTML. Now, if you want to use HTML5, you have to specify that in your document. Now this is everything is correct. Everything is alright here. But if you want to use HTML5, you have to say something like this. This will allow HTML5 components to be created and used. Now, there are a couple of components you can use with HTML5 that you can't use with normal HTML. I don't think you have space in here. Okay, some of the people like to create another HTML tag here. It's not needed. Like so, it's not needed. You can do this. You can do this, of course. It's valid because some people do it. But I prefer just to leave it like this. No, it will still work. If not, then add another HTML tag below, and then it should work. Depending if your web page works or not. Seriously, I never used it like I use it like this, and it works for me. So I don't know. So there are a couple of types you can use, and there's an range type, email type. So it has the input type as email will have some validations for the user. So it will be a text box, but it will have validation for the email. So for example, you have to add at, or you have to add dot somewhere in this format of the text box. URL, there is URL, search, telephone number, even number, yeah. So those are additional input types. Let me show you actually what doesn't matter which one it will be. So you say just input type, but this time you specify the different type, for example email, like so. Sorry, name equals, let's say, mail, right? Say this. Now it should have some validations. Which one is email now? I don't remember. Don't submit it. I will delete this one actually now. I want to see if this works because I don't. It should work as in. Did I? Yeah, as you can see, that could not perform the operation because the default email client is not properly installed. Something like that. I know that's not the one. Nevertheless, this should, if properly done, I don't know what's wrong with this one. But this should not allow the user to proceed until the email is correct. Sorry. Of course, you can omit it. You can basically cheat and still give a invalid email address because it's not that type of control which will check if the email is real. It will just check if there is an at or if there is an something else like a dot. I don't know. I think it checks for at. That's at least. I have some other things. Where was it? It was in this page. Yeah. Autofocus you can use, which is basically yeah, I found it. So autofocus is something like it will focus on this control straight ahead when the page is load. But the one I wanted to show you is a placeholder. A placeholder is used with text box, or basically text with HTML5. Let me just delete those because we don't need them. They just take space. Okay. So a text box is used with a the placeholder is used with text box basically, Yeah, you can use it for text box only, I think. Different type of text boxes, URL and stuff like this, but it will hold a value which, when you click the text box, it will disappear and you will be able to enter something. So it's like a hint for the user what he shall input. So you say placeholder and you specify some kind of value. You just say input something. I hope this will work. It doesn't. Maybe my well, let me just do this then. Maybe you have to. I don't know. I didn't use it. Input type equals text. So let me use the one I have with the HTML5. I hate this HTML5, you know. Where was it? Well, let's say email. Oh, come on, maybe this browser doesn't show you. As you can see, I have Internet Explorer, but that's how you use it. You simply say placeholder. I cannot help it. I cannot do anything about this. I'm using always the Internet Explorer. I cannot do anything about this. Nevertheless, this is how you use it. The placeholder. I just simply say placeholder with the inputs, with the HTML input types. As I said, this is specified on my page with the when you download the tutorial. I cannot show you because my browser probably is rubbish. That's why it doesn't show. But it works. It should work properly. And there are other things. You can also add with the HTML5. You can add input type as URL. Well, let me try URL then. Maybe with URL it will work. I don't know why it doesn't work. I have no clue. Maybe, as I said, maybe because it's a Internet Explorer, which means I cannot do anything about this. Nevertheless, so you can have URL type input. It's also a text box, but formatted somehow to have a suffix, which is, for example, .com or .something. Another thing is autofocus. I wanted to tell you, autofocus is basically when you add autofocus, it should focus on this element, on this component. Required is also something HTML5 supports, and it will basically you cannot submit something without filling in this box. Everything here I'm telling you is applying to text boxes, and there are different types of them in HTML5, but it applies to all the text boxes in HTML5. So yeah, sorry about the thing because my rubbish browser that doesn't want to show you this one. But yeah, that's how you use HTML5. You say just doc type. It should work. It doesn't, and don't know why. Nevertheless, this is how you use it. This is the end of this tutorial. As I said, if you really because the ending is rubbish, I must admit, and if you want to see some code, here's my document. I've added some kind of codes, so you can go through them. There's more than you can have, as you can see, doc type HTML. It's used here. It worked perfectly fine. It doesn't work now. And yeah, you'll have a couple of them. Oh, there's another one, required size. So a couple of them, yeah, just watch the read the file I have provided to you because my browser is rubbish. Nevertheless, this is the end of this tutorial. As always, visit my webpage and YouTube channel for more tutorials. I'm not gonna nag about this anymore actually, and I'm going to say bye. I will see you next time.